I can only come tell my truth, and that's all I know to do.
Morgan Wallen might be one of country's biggest superstars, but unfortunately for him, he's just as famous for his controversies as he is for his music. And another one of those controversies happened recently when Morgan had to cancel his packed show at the University of Mississippi Rebels Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. He did this just moments before he was supposed to take the stage, wasting 60,000 people's time and money. There's a lot of speculation about what really happened and why Morgan couldn't perform. But in a weird twist, it seems like one of Morgan's closest friends, none other than Ernest, who opened for him, might be the one who's now exposing him as a liar and a not-so-nice guy. And another one of those controversies happened recently when Morgan had to cancel his packed show at the University of Mississippi Rebels Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. Before getting into why Morgan and his team claimed that Morgan couldn't take the stage that night, it's important to understand this one viral clip from Ernest's opening performance, because it seems like a pretty clear indicator that what Morgan later told his fans was a total lie, which is really not cool. But I'll get into that in a minute. Ernest, who was opening for Morgan on that fateful night, made a very unusual choice for an opening act. He played the hit song Somebody's Problem, which people love, but not because it was an Ernest song. The song was, in fact, a Morgan Wallen track, which seemed like a super strange thing for Ernest to do. Traditionally, if you're opening for an artist, you never play any of their music unless they give you explicit permission to do so. Even then, you just never really do it, especially with a popular song that is probably going to be in the headliner set. It's just a very weird choice. But there's another detail that makes all this even shadier. Ernest said that he doesn't usually get to play this song when he's opening for Morgan before getting into it. That detail right there is the real evidence in this whole thing that seems to point to a big pile of lies from Morgan and his team about why he couldn't perform, because it doesn't add up with their official timeline and statement. It does seem weird to lie about something with so many eyes on it, but Morgan is also the guy who said horribly racist things on camera and then promised to do a whole bunch of work that he never actually did. So the bar for his believability and accountability is pretty much below rock bottom, as far as I'm concerned. But maybe that's just me. The reason all this doesn't add up goes back to the night of the show. Just moments before Morgan was scheduled to take the stage, a message showed up on the massive video screens that should have been showing a smiling Morgan coming out to greet his audience, but instead it said, "Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately Morgan has lost his voice and is unable to perform tonight." The message went on to add that therefore tonight's show has been canceled. Please make your way to the exits and collect your refund for your ticket at the point of purchase. Obviously, many people were really upset about this because they had already paid for parking and food and drinks. Not to mention many of them bought souvenirs for a show that was no longer half a minute from a scalper or the secondhand market like StubHub. You were totally out of luck as far as getting a refund, because only the person who originally bought the ticket from a source like Ticketmaster or the venue's box office would be entitled to a refund. And good luck getting a scalper to give you any cash back. People were also genuinely upset that the announcement came so late, because if anyone knew ahead of time that Morgan wouldn't be going on stage that night, it could have meant the difference of spending hundreds of dollars inside the venue. And again, not to mention those tickets that may have been purchased just minutes before the announcement came on the screen. So in a situation like this, every minute matters. Now obviously nobody is going to fault Morgan for taking care of himself if he really lost his voice. But as more and more details keep coming out, that story feels less and less likely. Not too long after the message went up on the screen and furious fans had to leave the stadium, people started speculating about what really happened. Morgan's been known to party. It's not out of the realm of possibility to imagine a world where he was too hungover from the night before, or maybe still too intoxicated to take the stage. But if that's the case, both he and his team probably would have known that for hours. So why leave Morgan's fans in the dark? There was one security guard who seemed more concerned with protecting the people than protecting Morgan, and he seems to be the root of just as much controversy as Ernest's questionable choice for his opening set list. The security guard quickly went viral after revealing his side of the Morgan cancellation story. The security guard didn't offer any proof, but he had a story that many people found extremely easy to believe. He said that Morgan was too inebriated to walk. Basically, he claimed that Morgan had too much to drink, couldn't walk, and the whole story about losing his voice was totally made up. He clarified that Morgan was taken off in an ambulance, probably to get hydrated. Morgan and his team were quick to shut down the security guard's story. They put out a very sterile statement saying that they thought that Morgan would be able to take the stage that night, even though he was starting to lose his voice. But after consulting with doctors and his vocal coach, he realized he couldn't perform. Basically, they denied everything the security guard put out there, but not everyone was convinced. And now Ernest, one of Morgan's closest friends, has to come to his defense after basically outing him with his opening song choice. Someone posted a tweet that reposted the story that Morgan has been telling his fans, and they said the real reason he didn't get on stage that night was partying and his well-documented history of drinking. They even went on to clarify that the ambulance part of the security guard's alleged story was because Morgan drank so much that he gave himself drink poisoning and needed emergency care. Ernest responded to the tweet simply with the word "cap" as slang for lies. So Ernest was trying to cover for his buddy, which is kind of sweet, but I'm just still not sure what to believe, because if Morgan actually was performing that night, there's no way that Ernest would have played his song, which means that hours before, Ernest was probably aware of the Morgan situation. Presumably had a talk with Morgan and his team that confirmed hours in advance that Morgan wouldn't perform that night. So whether it was drinking, or partying, or legitimate vocal cord issues, the timeline just doesn't add up. And it almost seems like Ernest rushing to shut down rumors is just him doing damage control now that he realizes he's part of an evidence trail that puts Morgan on the wrong side of history. Fortunately for Morgan, his fans are very loyal, and it's very likely that this won't hurt his career at all. And Ernest will probably be rewarded for being a loyal friend and will retain the valuable position as an opener on Morgan's tour, as well as a collaborator in the studio. But anyway, what do you guys think about all this? Did Ernest out Morgan as a liar? Did Morgan really have legitimate vocal issues? Why do you think the show was canceled at the last minute?